Ahoy, landlubbers, it's me, your Captain Vasco. Oh, God, I can't. Let me start by saying a few things. First, it's the rare Saturday installment of Murder by Numbers. Why is this? Well, if you haven't been watching The Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, Sarah Roxakwa, one of our regulars here, kindly asked if we could stream that game on Friday because today is her birthday and she had birthday plans and she wanted to see that game, and we played it yesterday and that turned out to be the end of the game, even though I thought there was like a little more to it than that. So we're back to Murder by Numbers and it's Saturday, and I apologize for any inconvenience. Second, this is going to be a short stream because I can't handle it anymore. What is it? Any of it, man. I mean, if you've been watching recently, look, I try very hard to make the stream to be like a positive thing and like a beacon. I know a lot of people, a lot of the regulars here deal with some of the same mental stressors that I do, or at least similar ones, and we're all kind of going through it, and the pandemic and the world at large, there's just so many things to be stressed about. And, you know, I try not to go in deep on it unless I feel like a discussion about it is something that's currently helpful to folks in chat. You know, I'm not trying to avoid difficult conversations, but I want this to be a place of positivity. And if you've been watching recently, like, you probably have a sense that I'm really going through it, and I can't emphasize enough how barely hanging on I have been these past few weeks since the rain started again and my roof failed again and work escalated to like an untenable level of stress again, all at once. It's been very bad. And today, so in order to keep things like functioning in the recent history, at least since the start of the pandemic, I try to limit how much I go out. Because, you know, as much as people like to pretend otherwise, there's still risk of things happening. And so I try to go out like once to twice per week and maximize the efficiency of the times I go out. So typically I will try to get all my errands done on Saturday. Like Saturday morning I sleep in a little bit, which is increasingly not very much at all. I, you know, watch like an hour or maybe two of TV, of shows I could discuss with my mom, have a quick lunch with her, go run some errands, take a shower, and then stream. It's a very busy day for me. There's like no margin of error. I'm pretty much scheduled for the entirety of Saturday. Occasionally people will be like, what are you doing Saturday? And I'm like, don't ask that question. You will feel insulted by the answer. I don't have time for whatever you're suggesting. But like it kind of just needs to function a certain way. It is like the bedrock of my existence right now. Saturday has to happen a certain way. Everything hinges on Saturday working a certain way. Normally, I meet my mom for lunch at noon or very close to noon. At 11:45, I get a text message from my landlady informing me that within less than 2 hours, someone is going to come to look at the roof. Now, the roof needs work done, but I know because of the forecast that they're not planning on actually repairing the roof properly. They're just gonna do another slapdash fix. Which, considering as much as I want 0% of water to be inside of my apartment from the outside, the amount of leak that I've been experiencing for like a week and a half now is tenable. It's manageable. So, like, I am not pushing for this, like, stupid fix to happen today. But I don't really have much choice. I write back to her and let her know it's extremely rude on a weekend to give me, like, less than 2 hours notice before I'm supposed to be present at my apartment to oversee this. And let me make one thing clear. Some of you are new or maybe don't remember the story. I'm sure I told on stream a while ago. The first time I ever had an issue at this apartment, and I put my trust in my landlady to oversee the task without myself being present. When I returned home, the door to my apartment was left open. Not unlocked, was left open with no one present in the apartment to monitor it, and no one, like, hanging out outside the apartment to even watch the doorway. The door to my apartment was completely open, and, like, it never crossed her mind that, like, that was not, like, a super cool thing to do. Like, I would have needed to explain it to her, and then maybe I could get her to feel bad about it. But, like, I've just, since that point, made an effort to not have to rely on her, because as she has continued to prove time and again, she is not reliable and instead is quite a hindrance to my existence. So I tell her that she should give me more than, 90 minutes notice on a weekend, because time is a premium. And I'm really struggling to get through it every day, all the time. And her response to that is, well, like, you could let me do it, which, again, I state this previous reminder as an indication that that's not a real option, that's a fake option. And she's like, or, it could be Monday. And let me tell you about Monday. Before my very tenuous Saturday schedule was disrupted, I had planned to try and take Monday off as a mental health day, because I'm so desperate that, like, I just need extra time that I don't have. And instead of that, my landlady conspired to remove what little time I had. And so my choices were to ruin today, ruin Monday, or both. I couldn't schedule it for Sunday because the people won't come out on Sunday. I have learned. Which sucks because, like, Sunday I have flexibility. Saturday I do not. Monday isn't much of a mental health day if I have to spend it monitoring the incompetence of my landlady. So it's not going great over here. Instead of being able to do all the things I wanted, the grocery store was out of the most essential thing that I needed to restock this week. Lunch was delayed and stressful. I didn't get the narrow period of, 90 minutes that I normally have to relax between shower and stream. I just jammed right into setting up the computer for the stream, and here we are playing Murder by Numbers. Now, again, not trying to be a downer. I'm mostly two things. One, trying to let you know where I'm at, because, it might be important to have a sense of how the stream's gonna go. Again, it's gonna be short. It's gonna be a short stream. I thank those of you who have joined me here. I do appreciate it. And also, I do think it's important to be honest about mental health things. A lot of us, from my experience, people with any sort of, regular mental health concerns, have a natural tendency to feel alone in what we deal with. And I think that there's, a natural comforting effect to knowing that other people have a similar struggle. There's a real fine line that I understand, where people who don't have these issues maybe feel like you're complaining, or people feel like you're just trying to take advantage of, dumping on them or whatever. And I promise that's not my intention, and I apologize if it comes off that way. But I'm just trying to be honest and let you know where I'm at. It can potentially affect future streams. Streams do occasionally get canceled on account of mental health. And we're talking about leaving a door open when... No, not... So the point of that story, Alcadius, because I assume you came in halfway through the reminder story. The point is, I was predisposed, and my landlady was like, I can look after your apartment to oversee this work that's going to be done. And, because I didn't know her that well, I'm like, I assume the landlady of my building is a responsible person who can be trusted with this task. And when I do return home, the door to my apartment is open and no one is in it. Which is, one step up from the worst possible result, which is that someone is in it stealing my stuff, but only barely, because leaving the door open and the apartment unattended does sort of leave the literal and proverbial door open to someone entering my apartment and stealing my stuff. So, it's a pretty bad look for someone who's supposed to be responsible for the building, and I think it reflects on you know, all of the interactions that I have with her that somehow always manage to come up on stream because they're always the worst. All these interactions are terrible. It's kind of you to say, Kronos. Thank you. Hello to Ice Bunny and to Arcadius. And I promise I'm done with this 11-minute rant, apparently. Let's see how many nonogram puzzles we can do before I die of natural causes and violate the Twitch terms of service. How do I want case select? Yeah, the parking fiasco. Yeah, I mentioned this with the heavy subtext of the recent parking fiasco. Like, you maybe don't understand, but... Okay, what's the most recent here? February 23rd? So this is like mid-case? This is like end of the case. Yeah, this is like the end of the case, and I guess it auto-saved before. I think I was supposed to click case select, but it's been a minute. I apologize. We'll get to case 4 in a second. So yes, as recap, feel free to read these, but I'm trying to click through it because we have seen this before. But during the last case, Scout got damaged and realized that when he awoke and found that his memory was gone and was trying to figure out what happened to him and what his purpose was and all that, and he tracked down Honor because she's a TV detective and he thought she could help him. He realized that ultimately he was the one who wiped his own memory because he discovered that someone tried to change his programming to turn him into a weapon, and he was not ethically okay with that, and tried to recycle himself, more or less, so that he would not hurt anyone. And now that he's remembered that and is functional again, he's concerned about what might happen. And then at some point, Honor promises that those people are gone and won't bother us anymore, and I'm certain that's incorrect. Thanks, Demolition. I appreciate you saying that. Thoughts and feelings are valid, and I'm welcome to express them. I mean, look, I make jokes sometimes that I'm captain of the stream and you can't tell me not to do stuff, but at the same time, I realize you have a choice of where you spend your time on Fridays and Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, and I respect your time and appreciate you showing up, and I feel bad when you come here for positivity and you get an update on why I can't stand being awake anymore, but, you know... Doing my best. So overwrite the autosave. Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually want it. Whatever, it's fine. Arcadia says, I think it's every time, but Honor is such an odd name for a girl. You really think so? I think I literally have a cousin named Honor. Like, I would say it's in the category of uncommon, not unreasonable. It's not like naming your daughter Apple or something. And again, so is Thomasina. I mean, like, I don't know if Thomasina was ever a common name, but, like, it sure seems lazy even by the most forgiving standards. It's like, well, we're having a kid. I want to name it Thomas. It's a girl. Thomasina. I didn't read that first thing at all. I should have. Anyone tell me what it said? I could feel the change in the air just as much as in myself, as if every fading sunset drew a hazy line between my old life and the new. I solved another case. Ryan was gone for good. Oh, I hope that's true. And Detective Cross was finally seeing things my way. I still have a hard time imagining us actually getting a job as a detective from the circumstances of the previous 3 cases. For those of you who are new here, if you're interested in more of this game, the previous cases are all uploaded to YouTube with varying degrees of success and only occasional unhinged rage. Over the course of one summer, I built a new career from the smoking ashes of the old. This could have been the greatest time of my life. You know, now, here's the thing, though. Truthfully, now that Ryan is, like, presumably in jail for the foreseeable future, like, couldn't we just, like, restart our acting career? I mean, if she wants to be a detective, like, I'm, you know, it's not my place to stop her, but, like, mightn't it be easier to just become an actor? A thing we already know we can do where you don't get shot at, maybe? Comedian joking about how in America it's common to name your kids after traits you want for them. Yeah, I mean, I think that's more of an American thing. I typically, I think when that joke is made, it's more, and maybe I'm incorrect about this, but the impression I get is like, I feel like that specific naming convention is more commonly used for like material things, like more recently coined names like, you know, Alexis and Mercedes, which are, you know, like the names of expensive like luxury cars. Like people will name kids after things like that, or like Diamond or something, in the hopes that like they will be wealthy enough to have those things, which like I don't hate it. I wouldn't choose that for my kids, I would say. I'll say that. Um, Delicious jokes. We'll both say the names we want at the same time. Thomas Justina. Okay, we'll just have these. Sure. Then Scout told me he had killed some. Wait, I feel okay. I feel like the way that the black screen catch up text here, I feel like it is misrepresenting the passage of time. I feel like that first bit is implying that we're talking about the window of time from the end of that last case to whenever now and the start of this case is. But then she's like, and then Scout told me he had killed someone. I'm like, that feels like that was months ago in the time frame you're talking about. It hit me like a freight train, and now all I could hear was the screech of brakes. It was deafening. Worse still, I told Scout that everything was going to be okay, that no one else would get hurt. I'd made a promise I wasn't sure I could keep. He's always wanted my help, and he has more questions now than ever. But for the first time, I'm scared of what the answers might be. Then why did you make the promise you can't keep? Why did you do that? I couldn't do this on my own. I didn't know the first thing about what Scout was going through. How could I? So I did about the only thing I could think to do. I asked for help. What do I think this means? Arcadia says, Google helped a lot. I asked how common the name Honor was, and it said the name Honor is both a boy's name and a girl's name, meaning honor. Yeah, I guess. I guess that's true. I've never heard a boy named Honor. Certainly you could name a boy Honor. It would seem more unusual to me. For some reason, I feel like we're going to ask our video game mom for help. Oh no, wait, how on earth would we have gotten in touch with Jenna? And why would Jenna agree to help us? Like, okay, so Jenna is like the lead scientist on the project that created Scout, the nonogram robot.
Gosh.
So, like, I understand why we would have the impression that she could help answer questions about Scout. And she, like, literally broke into our apartment earlier in the game to, like, tell us, like, beware of Scout, he dangerous, OMG. But, like, I don't even know if she literally introduced herself to Honor. I'm sure she didn't, like, leave her phone number or, like, a business card, because it's still the 90s. But, like, how did we contact her, and why did she agree if she thinks Scout is super dangerous? Sean, I agree. Scout's in the other room recharging. Perfect. His sensors will be offline. He won't feel a thing. Now, okay, now, when you start the conversation this way, I am immediately concerned. We've gone from, I'm confused as to why you're here, to I'm alarmed that you're here. Wait, what do you think you're doing? I am shutting him down. That's why you called me here, is it not? Nani? No! I just wanted to know what the options are. The options are, I am going to shut him down. There is only one. He is dangerous. We have to shut him down. I mean, just basically what she says. Why? Whatever. That's not an option. How can you possibly know he's still dangerous? Because I designed him. I have to say, though, I do appreciate the goth scientist aesthetic. You don't see it very often. Pretty much just that one, like, lab technician from CSI or whatever. I can't believe it. All this time he's been trying to find out who created him. Now you're finally here. He might finally get some answers, and all you want to do is turn him off? Yeah, see all my first dates, lol. I am just being practical. Where did you even find him? They told me he was destroyed. Actually, he found me. He was lost, confused. How could you abandon him like that? He wiped his own memory and let us not forget. So you toss him out like garbage? I mean, she did just say that she was told he was destroyed. I did not have a say in the matter. I had long since lost control over the project. When Scout was scrapped, it was really hard. I blamed myself. He was never supposed to hurt anyone. But I made my peace with what had happened. Until one day I find out he is floating around Los Angeles, quote, solving crime. Do we know where she found out about that? I mean, I'm not saying that it's not really conspicuous that, like, a floating VCR is turning crimes into nonogram puzzles and solving them. But, like, somehow I don't get the impression that the world is treating this discovery with the gravity that it deserves. I feel like some people who have worked on those cases are like, dang, that's like a flying robot. And for the most part, we're just kind of pretending like it's not happening. I have already lost so much. Please, I need to know it is over. This is... I think I understand where she's coming from, but this feels like a weird argument. She was like, it hurt me so much for him to be deactivated after what happened. So, you have to understand that I want him to be permanently deactivated so I don't have to think about it anymore. What about him? Scout has thoughts and feelings. He's alive! Just like Johnny 5. Have you seen that topical film? You think I do not know that? Then you know he deserves more than being switched off like a brainless machine. There has to be another way! I could try a software patch. It would take a while, but if I manually blocked or rerouted all the weapons subroutines... I mean... Listen, I understand if the circumstances of Scout's past have made it so that Jenna's feeling is the best option is to destroy him because he's dangerous. They, you know, turned him into a weapon, and despite the fact he didn't choose this, we maybe can't trust him. He's just too dangerous. I'm not saying that's right. I can understand that point of view. Earlier in this conversation, we literally asked, we said, like, I called you because I wanted to know what the options are. And she's like, destroy him. Literally the only option. And then we're like, couldn't we do something that's not destroy him? And she's like, well, we could do something that's, like, not extreme and simply try to, like, deprogram his destructive tendencies. And it's like, and that didn't make the one bullet point list? That didn't make it on that list of options? But there is no guarantee it would work. We have to try. You created him. Don't you want to give him one more chance? Hey. Alright, but I will need as much data from Scout as I can get. It will probably mean solving more nonogram puzzles. Back in the lab, I designed this wireless diagnostic tool. It'll collect all the logs I need, as long as Scout is nearby. Can't you do it? I'm a detective, not an engineer. Dang it, Jim! No, he might recognize me. If he thinks anything is out of the ordinary, it would invalidate the entire dataset. That's plausible, but I'm still skeptical of that. I have to lie to him? You wanted another solution. This is it. Get the data, and we will go from there. Later that morning. Good morning, Otter. I'm not panicking. You're panicking. Hi, Scout. Did you sleep well? My recharge cycle was efficient and uninterrupted. Thank you. You look worried. Are you okay? It's nothing. It's about the memory I recovered, isn't it? About what I did. So this is, like, supposed to be, like, hours later. So, no, actually, this bothers me. So, first off, I do find the text at the start of this case misleading. It suggests a somewhat significant passage of time when, in reality, like, 8 hours passed. That's really confusing to me. But, like, also, we literally promised at the end of the last case, like, hey, the people who made you into a weapon, they're gone now. They can't hurt you. And then, like, he goes to sleep and we, like, call those people and invite them here and then do what they tell us to do. Now, I'm not saying that no good can come from this if we trust Jenna and take her at her word that she wants the best for Scout. But it immediately violates the promise that already couldn't be kept. So, like, what? Like, what was the reasoning? It's just, why make the promise and then why do immediately the opposite thing? Scout, Ring, 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 phone call. Detective Cross, what do you... oh, okay. I'll be right there. We've got to go to the station. Cross has a lead on the Frank Pritchell case. How? We'll talk soon, I promise. I just need some time. Wait! Okay, I thought she was leaving Scout behind, and I was like, wait, that's, like, horrible. Don't do... It's bad enough not to talk to him, but to, like, be like, I need some time, so stay here and don't solve crimes with me, and just worry about the fact that I'm going to destroy you. Like, that would be horrible. Hey, let's do a new save, because that autosave was in such a terrible place, and, I don't really care where. This one, I guess. Sure. Side note, it seems quite roomy for an LA apartment. I mean, she's got Hollywood money at this point, still, presumably. Frezza. Where on earth did I put that tape recorder? Come on, Jerry, think. You had it right here a second ago. We're here, what's good? Shh, I'm trying to think. Secret Squirtle. Can you see a tape recorder over there? This is the nonogram puzzle, right? No, what are you doing? Trying to get some equipment together for a little undercover operation. Why did you use air quotes? I didn't like the air quotes. Don't you have people to help with that kind of stuff? What do you mean, have people? Interns or deputies or something? I don't think that's quite right. No, well, yes, technically, but I'm not technically assigned to the Frank Pritchell case anymore. Yes, this operation is kind of off the record, which at least justifies us being a part of it because we are not detectives. Detective Cross, are you breaking the rules? No, I'm just taking the initiative. During my upkeep, I will venture into the dungeon, or start the Undercity dungeon if I'm not already in a dungeon. That's another Magic the Gathering joke for the no one who will appreciate it. I've got a lead, and I'm going to follow up on it. Hey, isn't that your captain behind you? Hey, Captain, that's not a funny joke. Are you gonna help or not? I'm just gonna say yes. After all the trouble we've gone to get him to cooperate with us, like, I never understand why people want to, like, be antagonistic. I understand it's a joke, but, like, to be like, oh, you actually want us now? Or be like, I'm gonna savor this embarrassing moment. Like, just be an adult. Sure, what do you need? There's a party invitation around here somewhere. Can you grab it for me? I presume it's in the form of a nonogram. Yes, sir, Detective Cross. We won't let you down. I'm sure the invitation is in the interview room. Okay, so 11 gives us an overlap out of 15 of all but 4 from the edges. Gonna have to try and remember how nonogram puzzles work, because if you didn't happen to be here for the last time I streamed this game, I wasn't doing super good, and I'm not mentally in a much better place, and also these puzzles are gonna get harder, which is why I expect to do no more than 3 nonogram puzzles, and that's mostly assuming that at least one of them is fairly easy. I've had a rough day, and we're probably not going that long. I'm very tired. Hope everyone else is doing alright. I know glossed over that a little bit the start of the stream, but I hope people are doing well. It is at least the weekend. Most of the time, that's a good thing. Demolition, you don't have to give 5 subs, but thank you for gifting 5 subs. Gifted sub to Tech, lol. I noticed in the last batch of gift subs, you gifted subs to a friend of mine who I didn't think had ever visited my channel. And I'm like, when did that happen for this to have picked up on it? There's a lot of small numbers. I think the next thing to do is to, Hey, Anime, welcome to the stream. You're just in time for this first nonogram puzzle. Ooh, I like all those emotes, Ice Bunny. Good collection. Alright, 9 is one of our biggest numbers, so I'm gonna do some chicanery here. So this would be, yeah, that's like 9 from the left, etc. Or this could be the furthest point over, so it could be 1, space, 2, 3, 4. So we should have overlap of this many, which completes a couple of these rows outright, which is nice. Yeah, I'm strongly under the impression that this is not going to be the invitation that was requested. I don't know what it is going to be. So each of these rows that has spaces filled in has only groups of 1, so all of those should be blank. And then this has the most in the middle. It would be 1, 2, 3. But they could alternate, so I don't know their precise location. The toilet. I mean, so technically, the door was for the interview room, but for some reason, I also can't help but feel like we're looking at toilet stuff. There was a case earlier where we actually, thoroughly investigated a bathroom. I appreciate the offer, Demolition. I'm pretty sure if we reach a point where I need help in one of these puzzles, the stream will imminently end, so we're gonna hope that doesn't happen. What else we got going on here? So, all told we have, what is it, 6, 10, we have 10 spaces left, and 8 of them have to be filled in. So, I'm pretty sure that tells me that one of these groups of 3 has to be on this side of this row of X's. And then, from there, I need 5 out of these 6 spaces to be filled. So, I should be able to, narrow that down pretty substantially. Oh, actually, because they need a space between them, it has to work that way. There should be no other way for that to work. The fact that I didn't immediately think that through feels like it's gonna be a long, short stream. You don't say that too often, Devilish. I appreciate the sentiment of thanking the streamer for streaming. It's a very thoughtful thing to do if you appreciate what they're doing. Thank you for being here, always. So this up here can't be... There's only a group of 2 and a group of 3, so, this can't be anything. So does that tell me anything useful here? 5, 6, 7, 8. That should... Actually, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, just confirming. So, by the overload principle, we know that at minimum, this space has to be filled in order for this to be a group of 9, and it can't go any further. So that tells us that this is the top space for this column. So we should be able to conclude that we fill the whole group of 2 from there, which then helps finish off that row. That should be correct. However, since we're only looking for 2 more individual spaces, really not sure where they fit along those lines. Again, lots of small numbers. What else I might be able to... I mean, if I could narrow down something in this range, I could determine whether or not the group of 4 is on the left here. About down here. I think this is actually a similar situation to this row up here. So, it wouldn't be possible to make 2 groups of 2 together on either side of this group of X's. So, one group of 2 has to be on the left, and one has to be on the right. But at the end of the row, we still need to have a separated group of 1. So once again, like on the right, there's only one configuration of spaces that makes sense there. That tells us that this is a bottom group of 1. It's by itself. This here is part of a bottom group of 3. So this one has to be filled whether it goes to the bottom or goes up. Like both of these have to overlap. I don't quite know. It seems very likely that the space is filled, but I don't know that for sure yet. What I can say is that we currently have 1 space out of 2 groups of 2 that need to be accounted for from this column. So anything that doesn't potentially overlap with one of those groups of 2 can be ruled out. And for this row, since there's only a single group of 4, since this space over here can't hold a group of 4, we can also conclude that none of those spaces can be filled. This weirdly, in turn, has narrowed this column down to the point that 2 out of the 3 spaces in this group here need to be filled in. So this middle thing is a point of overlap and has to be filled in regardless of where that group of 2 goes. Now I have no idea. Oh, actually, this space has to be the far right group of 1 for this row, because for it to be anything else, like the only other possibility would be like if it was part of a group of 2 and then we put a separate group of 1 here, but like I can't separate them. So that means that these both have to be blank and this is the rightmost space. Does it narrow anything down though? I don't think it does. No, not by the nature of what information is actually available to us. You know that this is part of the rightmost group of 2, but that in and of itself is not useful information. Because this is blocked off, do I get additional overlap? I think I do. 3, 8, 9, 10. I mean, that should work, right? Four, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that should be correct. And pushing that over 1 tells us, confirms that that's the bottom group there. That also, much like the space over here, now 2 of these 3 spaces in this row have to be filled in, so the middle one has to be filled regardless of the position of what's left. Well, actually, now that this is X'd out, you know that it's not part of this group of 9, which should give us a point of overlap in the other direction and tell us where that group of 2 sits exactly. This row's gonna be tricky. I think it's probably the case that on the left of this set of 2 X's are both of the groups of 1, and then the 3 is in the middle, and this is the 2. But I don't have anything to properly conclude that. Also seems highly likely that, like, these 2 spaces are filled in. Actually, I guess it's just as likely here. I don't know. One of these 2 spaces should be filled in, but I don't think I know which. I'm not sure what to look at next. I don't think I've narrowed down any of these middle columns enough to start putting in where the 1s are. There's too many, like, blank spaces and ability for things to, like, alternate. Oh, hang on a second, though. If we look at this column, we can do what we were doing over here before, which is we've filled in one of the 2 groups, and we know, broadly speaking, where the other group exists. So anything that can't be part of that group, that has to be blanked out. Can I conclude? Yes. I think with that X in place, I know that Like, I know that this is part of the group of 2. The next group to the left is a group of 3. There's no way that I could fit 2 groups of 1 and a group of 3 over here. And with only 4 spaces in the middle, I also couldn't fit a group of 3 and even 1 group of 1. I would need at least 5 spaces to do that. So now I do definitively know that the group of 3 has to be in here, and that 2 of the 3 spaces have to be filled no matter what. That gives us a little bit of context here for the middle section. I still don't know where these groups of 1 are. Those are going to be tricky, I think. And if we look at these, I mean, it's still kind of problematic. Even here, where we have like the most groups of 1 to account for, like they could be like this, or they could be like this, or they could be like this. So like I still need something to narrow those down before I can really put that in. As much as I would like to pretend that I'm close to finishing that column. Feels likely to me that group of 3 is somewhere over here, but I don't have any way to conclude that. Kind of close to finishing that row with just 4 in it. I only need to blank out like 1 more space, and then I know exactly where all... I know the exact contents of the row if I know exactly 1 square. Any 1 square. Just kind of funny. I don't think any of the columns provide that information currently, though. The 2 in 1 row feels like that's going to be hard to fill in. 1, 2, 1. The remaining ones don't really have many leads. 2 and 3 row is surprisingly challenging here. Huh. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can't fill anything else for that group of 9 at the top. That's exactly as much information as I have. The columns with 2 and 2 and 2 and 3 both need a little bit more assistance before I can do anything there. The second column from the left, that 2 and 1, that one could go anywhere, man. I want to say that this space is filled, but I don't know about that. Could easily be this, some other thing. 3, 6, 8, and 3 on either side. Yeah, that's as much as I'm getting out of the group of 11 right now, too. I think I just need 1 piece of information somewhere, and then I'll probably be able to solve like most of the rest of it in 1 shot. Probably. Having trouble figuring out what that piece of information is. Which is just not a lot to work with. Like, the numbers are very small. And this doesn't look like anything. Hey, those of you who've played Picross, does that game tell you what you're trying to make an image of? For some reason, I feel like I have some vague recollection of that being true, even though I've never actually played that game. It wouldn't be, like, extremely helpful in this, but, like, I feel like it would definitely make a difference. Second column looks like we could put an X in it. Second column? I don't think that's true. Because, like, this is part of a group of 2. It could go down, or it could go up. This is also part of a group of 2. It could go down, or it could go up. I don't think I have enough information to do that. Anything about, like, the rows that makes that possible? Not really. Like, this group of 2 could go essentially anywhere except this left area. The 4s, like, I just need, like, 1 square in this stupid row. It's kind of the same as the one above. Like, group of 2 could go all over the place. It couldn't go here or here. And it couldn't go here. That's very interesting. That doesn't actually narrow that down enough for me to do anything with it, but that's interesting information. If there were only 3 squares available, I could do something with that. Yeah, I apologize, Kronos. We're far enough in the game, I'm not thinking to give context for this. If you're not familiar with notogram puzzles, all the information you get is along the sides and the top. What these tell you is how many total groups of squares are filled in to form some sort of picture in the end, and also how many squares are in those groups. So, for example, here we're looking for like 1 group of 9 consecutive squares, and then another group separated by at least 1 blank space that's only 1 filled in square. And then you just sort of extrapolate that for the various groups. And then you try to find all the points of overlap and where you can narrow things down and whatever. I appreciate that, Kronos. But yeah, if you ever have questions, let me know. I try to be generally pretty good about explaining stuff for people. And also my thought process going through the puzzle as opposed to just like filling in squares silently. I don't know that would be a very good stream. I've always worried that this game isn't that interesting to watch, but people do keep tuning in for it, so, you know. We're gonna try and finish it. It's been a bit of a challenge in some of the later cases, so... You know, that's reasonable insight. Demolition says, Cocaine Bear makes for a good movie while intoxicated, but otherwise skip it. I mean, not shocked to learn that. One of my friends was excited to see it and was like, I'm sad you don't live in the same place with me anymore, because I feel like you would definitely watch that movie with me, and I can't figure out how to convince anyone else to do it. I'm like, that's probably accurate. I'm still hunting Demolition. I'll let you know. Don't worry about that. It could go anywhere. That can go in either. The 2 has to go over here. Still not useful to me. And then 1. This feels like a column that would be useful to have some information about. Good chance this column also fits that description. This is the rightmost group of 2, bottom group of 3. Three, 2, 7, 4. It's tough. It's nothing that stands out to me as being like obviously a point for me to narrow it down. Like the open-ended ones are small enough groups that I don't have a lot of information about them. Motion asks, if you don't mind, in all your years of living in LA, has the weather ever been that severe? I keep hearing about how legendary it is. I mean, you know, I guess I'll put it this way. You know, not that long ago, I mentioned that I had seen, like, a sprinkling of snow in Burbank, and everyone greeted that with some level of incredulity, including, like, just other people I've told that anecdote to in person. And then, you know, snow hit multiple parts of California where it's not supposed to snow at all. And like, I can remember one other year where, like, there was a really intense deluge, the way that, like, the last big push of rain was. But it was for, like, a few days is my recollection. Like, maybe, like, 3 days of really bad rain then. And, like, not only have we had, like, multiple pushes just this calendar year, and it's, like, it's relatively early March. It's March 11th. But, like, they've been kind of more intense. So, like, you know, I've lived in California for, like, you know, they're like 14 years. And it's definitely more intense than normal by a lot. I don't know that I've personally experienced, like, a season that's this bad. Now you're not having the appropriate clothes. I mean, it's not like... The snow was still relatively light and wasn't that close to me. It wasn't that far from me, but it's not like it was a sustained snowfall. So I wouldn't say that, like, it's like a whole, like, biome change where, like, all of a sudden I need, like, a parka, you know? But you can get water so you can take a shower. Well, the problem with that, Ice Bunny, that makes a lot of sense in theory. But as my dad, who is an engineer, will bemoan, the infrastructure in Los Angeles is terrible. And even though this town is constantly subject to drought because it was built in a desert by lunatics, there's, like, no infrastructure to capture rainwater. Like, not really. So even when we have these really intense rain seasons, it doesn't do very much to alleviate the constant drought, because after many, many years of this city being established here, like, it just doesn't... I mean, it doesn't move the needle because they haven't made any changes that they can take advantage of that. Okay. This column, definitely not where my next move is. There's no way I'm pinpointing one. This column, not where my next move is. I'm not pinpointing 2 out of, like, 7 or whatever. Here's 2 out of 4. I still don't think that's my move. There's, like, at least one other spot I could do that if I had a way to narrow 2 out of 4 that aren't consecutive. Or even I have a spot where I could do that if consecutive helped. Just 1 in the next column over. It's literally a 1 and 4. Don't really have a way to narrow that down. No way to narrow this down. This is really as narrowed as this gets without further input. Same here, as far as I can tell. Here I need to finish this group of 2 or place a 1 out of, like, 4. Here I need to do something similar. Place 1 of these 2, and then it's a coin flip. That's at least close. Two in a group of 3. I kind of ignored this for the reason that it's a pretty big open space. Well, let's think of it this way, right? This is 5 filled spaces out of 8. I might be able to do something with that. Thanks, Demolition. I appreciate the 100 bits. So, if we count from the bottom, be something like this. We count from the top, it could be 2, space, 1, 2, 3. So I think the conclusion to draw from that is that that space is filled. The rest of it's too flexible. So we filled this because it's a separated group. Has to be its own thing. That means that this has to be filled, which means that this has to be a continuous group, so this is also filled. And then we have to... These are no longer options. That tells us that this is where that group of 3 ends. This is also the bottom group of 1 for its row, so this space has to be blank, and then this makes the group of 2 there. Didn't do anything to the group of 4. Oh, this becomes the individual group of 1, the right of this, which means that now neither of these spaces can be filled in because I can only fit a group of 2 somewhere in the row. Which I don't think actually does anything to help me fill out any of these middle spaces. I'm glad that you like the "you found it" thing. It's not even like my bit. I think I mentioned this when I was doing a horrific job of playing through 999 to try and share that experience with chat and feeling like nobody cared. But like the reason that's in my head is because the first time I experienced that game was watching someone else play 999, and for whatever reason, every time like the game just does the sound effect of like woo, he just added on top of it, "You found it." And so that's just how I think of that, because that was that whole experience. I feel like 1 somewhere up in this business, that's not extremely helpful. The things that have changed are largely over here, except this far right group is still... Jason! I mean, it's still 2. So, like, I still don't have, like, anything. I mean, like, this is plausible. This could also work. Like, be the group of 1 for this column. Oh, hang on a second. There's 3 total groups over here. One of these spaces is filled, it makes 2. This is already filled in. Everything else is blank. This has to be filled. So then... none of this can be part of that group of 2. Which means that's exactly where that group of 2 is. That column is done. That also tells me that this column needs this space to be filled in, so that's not part of that group of 2. So then this is filled in, and that's also the whole group of 11, so that's not filled in. And then
my gosh!
That is, and that's the end of that group. And now if there's only 3 spaces, that means that this has to be filled. And now that I know that this space isn't filled in, I know that these 4 spaces are filled in. Because there's only 2 places a group of 4 can go, and now the group of 4 can't go here anymore. So this then becomes the leftmost group of 2.
Let's get groping.
And finishes that row. And there's like only groups of 1 anywhere in this middle section. So like all of this has to be nothing. And if we look at... oh, I see. It's presenting this in a way that's misleading to me. But that's fine. This is fine as it is. This column is apparently done. This one I'm not sure of, but it seems likely that these 2 spots are filled in and complete those 2 rows. Probably. Okay, now I know that this is part of the group of 3, but that does literally nothing to narrow this down at all whatsoever. It's just a fact by itself. And unfortunately, without narrowing one of these two groups down further, I don't really know which of them is filled in as part of the group of two. This should be blank, because this is a group of one by itself. And I guess at this point, the only thing to fill in this column is one of these two spaces. So this should also be blank, which means that this can't be part of the group of two for the row, which finishes this as the group of two for the leftmost column. And then these are the only spaces to put that group of two. That finishes this column. We've done all the groups. This middle bit could be a group of one. Only the top group is two, and it's not connected to that. So we should also be able to conclude, for multiple reasons, this space is filled in. So I still need a one down here for this row, but also the missing group of one can't be attached to this because it either has to be filled in or a blank space. This now becomes the leftmost group of two, so this is blank. That means this is blank, and this is filled in. And now that we know the start point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's not filled in, that's not filled in, that's filled in. Now all those top groups of two are filled out. Except these, we'll get to them later, question mark. So we have a start point for this group of three, so that has to end here, which means this is blank because that row's done. This is blank because that column's done. That's filled in. That resolves nicely. Need a group of two. Well, that's pretty much the only place that goes. These are blank. This is blank. No. Yes? No? Well, this is done. So just both of these are filled in? What am I looking at? Is this a nonogram depiction of like a blobfish? It's a fish or a poop. That sounds right. It's probably fish or poop, which isn't like a great game to play. Did I do that wrong? Oh, is that not? Oh no, it's doing that thing where it's okay, I see what it's doing. It's confusing to look at, but it is accurate. What? Yeah. It is a fish. It is a fish. It somehow looks less like a fish when it's colored in. When it's colored in, it honestly looks to me like a wrapped piece of candy, like a Werther's caramel or something. Is that a fish, or are you happy to see me? Just a convincing replica. It seems to be made of rubber. Yo-ho-ho, he took a bite of gum-gum. Maybe this is what Cross meant when he said he had a new angle on the Frank Pritchell case? Why did she, like, emphasize angle as though that was like a pun or something? There's text printed on one side. A small fish captured from the sea. Let it die or set it free. What the crap? I don't... What... Is that technically a haiku? It's probably not. If you wish to find out more, join... I mean, it's spelled as though it would be pronounced as Aaron, but it's spelled wrong to any spelling I've ever seen Aaron written. This is like the girl equivalent of Aaron, except no one I know has ever spelled their name this way. Join Iron at Birth 84. This must be the party invitation Detective Cross wanted. I guess so. I mean, presumably that's all the TV there is. I don't trust the game very much. Did you find that party invite yet? We need to get going. Suppose I present the fish when I'm ready to end this conversation. About the Frank Pritchell case. What's the new lead on that case? That's confidential. You're gonna have to do better than that if you want my help. You asked me to come here. You're right, sorry. Guess I got used to trying to keep you out of my way. Not that that ever worked. Someone contacted me. They'd heard it was me who found Frank's body. They said he didn't commit suicide. He was murdered. Any idea who said the thing? Not a clue, but they want to meet. There's a party being thrown by some film director, and they'll be there. A Hollywood party? Not exactly gonna blend in. That's why we're going undercover. We need to talk about Scout. He's gonna kill us. Hey, Scout, could you check outside for me? I think I dropped an onogram or something. Strange, I didn't hear anything, but I'll go check. Listen, I've been in contact with someone called Jenna. She says she designed Scout. I bet he's pleased to get some answers about where he came from. Yeah, not so much, actually. He, doesn't know yet. You didn't tell him? The shootout at Christmas Place brought back a memory he'd lost. Something he tried to forget that was bad. Bad? Bad how? They wanted to use him as a weapon. Someone was killed. Ugh, Honor. I always knew we couldn't trust him. That's not true. He's still the same Scout you know. He's still my partner. I have to try and help him. He's dangerous. Don't worry, I'll handle this. I never arrested a robot before, but there's a first time for everything. Wait, I don't need you to step in, Detective. I have a plan. Jenna's working on a way to disable all the dangerous code. We just need a little time. And you trust her? Not as far as I can throw her, but I don't have a lot of upper body strength. Also, it's either that or I lose Scout forever, so I guess we're going with this option. I couldn't see her mother anywhere. Are you sure you hurt her? No, I guess not. Anyway, thanks or whatever. Found your fish. You found the invite. Good. Who's E. Iron? E. Iron Kino. She writes and directs movies. Real artsy stuff. Not my kind of thing. A real movie director? Wow. I think I've heard of her. Wasn't she in the papers a couple weeks back? Something about, like, murder or something? That's kind of what we do by numbers. Seems like every film she makes had something shady going on behind the scenes. Anyway, she's throwing a yacht party and we're invited. It feels like that should be a euphemism somehow, and it's wildly unclear to me how. Are you trying to tell me there's a yacht party and I'm invited? They head out this morning from the port of Los Angeles, berth 84. Okay. What's this shady business? I don't know too many specifics. I was never assigned to the cases, but I know who the detectives were. Nearly every movie she works on, something bad happens behind the scenes. That's like essentially the same thing you already said. That's not elaborating or giving us any more information. Things go missing, sometimes people go missing, or worse, people holding things go missing. Maybe she just has really bad luck. This goes way beyond bad luck. She's the only common factor across a dozen different cases, but the charges never stick. She must have one heck of a lawyer. Maybe he's got spiky hair and a blue suit. Really like showing people his badge, I don't know. I can't wait to work with you, Detective. Busting down doors, catching bad guys, killing humans. What was that last thing you said? Never mind, just follow my lead and watch what you say. If you blow my cover, we could lose everything. Do we all have to cover stories? Do we get disguises? Easy there, Sparky. I get a cover story. You two don't need them. The party invitations are in Honor's name. What? I never got any invite. No need. I called up and said you wanted to go. They put us straight on the guest list. There better be an open bar, Waka Waka. Don't even think about it. I need you with a clear head. So what's your cover story? I'm Joe Fairbanks, an actor from out of town who's conspicuously dressed as a detective and wearing a badge. I'm at the party looking for my next gig and... What are you laughing at? Nothing. It's just... you. An actor? Can't be that hard. You just stand in front of a camera and read the script. There's a little more to it than that. I don't need a lecture. This isn't my first undercover gig. This isn't my first rodeo. I know all about roping and cattle and hustling. Now let's get going before we miss the boat, figuratively and literally. If you're sure. I can still question him? About what? Why can I still question him? About nothing. And for some reason I can't save while not fake questioning him. I guess that's the reason. Okay. I don't remember. Just go top down. It's fine. Demolition asks, what would be your job description like that? Can't be that hard kind of description. It can't be that hard. You just tell people to submit their homework. They're grown adults. They know exactly what they should be doing most of the time. You just tell them to do it, and they should do it. I mean, I often describe my job as, like, just get radio stations to do their homework. It's mostly true. You probably wouldn't be as surprised as I am how difficult it is to get people to do that, but I always just did my homework. Except that one time in 5th grade, I totally just missed the deadline, like, real bad. That might be, like, one of the literal only times I ever didn't do my homework. And it wasn't, like, intentional. Never thought we'd go on a boat. I know it's a visual novel, and, you know, some concessions are made. This gives the impression that it's just us on a boat, and we're about to be kidnapped or killed or something. And we showed up to this party, and it's just like the detective, who, as I suspected, is still openly wearing his badge, even though I imagine we're meant to pretend that's not happening. But, like, it's just us, an actor, our flying robot friend, and a detective wearing his badge being like, no, I'm one of you, fellow teens. Look at this place. The deck is bigger than my whole apartment. You stop moving around so much, we don't have that much animation budget. Never been on a yacht this big before. Is it safe? Logic suggests I should keep my circuits away from water.
Oh no, I'm making him horny.
I do hate when that happens. Sometimes the sea, she has a way with you, you know? Then again, perhaps I have a swimming subroutine I haven't discovered yet. Maybe I should tap into destroy all humans. No, you're good, Scout. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's not poke around or find out. Quiet. Someone's coming over. Let me turn my...
Get wet. Down there.
It's true. If you're not careful, you might get wet down there on the sea when we're on top of the boat. It could happen. It's been known to happen. Unless you go to the E deck. For some reason, that's watertight. Never mind. Stick close to me and act natural. I want to imagine him just, like, turning a baseball hat around backwards and, like, leaning on a skateboard. Like Steve Buscemi in that one bit. Uh-oh. Who does this... What's this really dour man who's kind of dressed like a modern-day clown sound like? I didn't really think there'd be more characters in this game for some reason. I know that doesn't make any sense. I just didn't think about it. Steve Buscemi. Like, what? Are you also the head of a cult? I mean, pretty much has to be, right? How does, like, Steve Buscemi, like, sound? Like, I know what he sounds like, but how does he sound? Good morning, you're late. Boat's still here, isn't it? Luckily for you, we're delayed by a staffing issue. Do you have your invitation? Right here, should be all in order. Welcome to the Anemone. Joe Fairbanks? That's right, I'm an actor visiting from out of town. Got a tip your sister might be casting for a new feature. Ignore the badge. Tell me, Joe, what's an actor from out of town doing with an LAPD badge on his coat? No, we're not supposed to imagine that. He's just terrible at this. Listen, I noticed the detail. I appreciate that they also noticed the detail. I foresaw this going two ways. One, they just have a version of his asset that doesn't have the badge on it. Two, we just pretend it's not there. I didn't expect this to happen. Oh, that's from an audition earlier this morning. He obviously forgot to take it off. Hi, I'm Honor Mizrahi. You may know me from Murder Miss Terry. I've been helping Joe get settled here in LA. Miss Mizrahi, I thought I recognized your face. I'm Ray, E. Iron's brother and legal representative. I heard a lot about her. Any chance of an introduction? That's out of my hands. My sister doesn't meet people in person unless she has something to say. Oh, I was hoping to meet a real movie director. You're welcome to get a drink from the bar and enjoy the party. Just stay in the main deck area. Everywhere else is strictly off limits. We're just gonna ignore the floating VCR robot. That doesn't warrant a comment from the host of the party or whatnot. And who knows, if E. Iron finds you interesting, she may come and find you. But don't count on it. A short while later. Not that long ago, a new SpongeBob video game came out, and I happened to watch just a little bit of it. I was just kind of curious what its vibe was. And I really appreciate the fact that all of the loading screens are that bit from the show where just, like, the text is just, like, some amount of time later. And I think they even had the French guy do the voiceover, or the guy do the fake French accent or whatever, for, like, a few seconds later. Water's so clear out there. Isn't it beautiful? Looking off of this one set we've established for the entire boat? I'm trying not to get too close. Relax, the boat's safe, and if you're lucky, you might still get to meet E. Iron. We're here to make contact with an informant, not collect autographs. There are a lot of people... Are there a lot of people at this party? You could have fooled me. How are we supposed to recognize this informant? Could be anyone. Maybe a talking cat? But they told me they'd be wearing a silver bracelet. Oh, we're doing the thing from the roguelike version of Hitman, where, like, one of the missions you're supposed to take out, like, a cell leader, and all they tell you is what hair color they are, and whether they have tattoos, and if they like eating food. And then you kill someone based on that information and hope for the best. What if it's E. Iron? It doesn't seem likely, but if she does make an appearance, it wouldn't hurt to check. I'll keep a lookout. What should we do in the meantime? I spy with my little eye. I don't know, mingle? I'm gonna take a look around. Puzzle. Oh, God almighty, this puzzle's a pillow, I was gonna say, but it looks horrific. It's for, okay, so this row at least promises success in the sense that is all of the squares, and I won't drag across because I know that makes the game loud and angry. It causes two different types of problems. 2, 4. This rightmost column only has one group of 5, so anything that is more than 4 spaces away is ineligible to be filled in. I'm so tired I just almost let out just like a really loud swear for no reason. I appreciate the ambitious nature of these voice acting suggestions. I feel like the failed attempt at Steve Buscemi voice should probably be an indicator that Lady Gaga but shy is unlikely to be a voice I succeed at mimicking. 9 and 1, huh? I mean, we should be able to get a bunch out of that. We did last time. We had exactly a 9 and 1. So, like... That's 9, or like 1 space -4. And then do like the same thing here. 10, or like 1 space -3. Okay. Well, that does also tell us that that has to be continuous. It's a big group. There's no chance that, like, 1 is a group of 9, and then the space 2 spaces away is the next one. You know, I didn't really get a sense of what my sister's impression of this game was. She caught a little bit of it a few weeks back. She seemed kind of interested in it. I don't know if it's something she would ever stream or even play these days. Her stream last week was such a bummer. Like, her internet crapping out for like the 3rd or 4th time in a week and just the stream ending. I felt bad about that. It's so hard for me to like think of other people right now. In the midst of all the chaos today, like one of my friends was having like an emotional crisis, and I'm like, I really don't have that much time. Unfortunately, like, here's all the things I can say that I feel are meaningful to you right now, and I promise I'll get back to you later, but, like, I literally can't. I'm so sorry. Like... Yeah, that sounds about right. You left, and then 20 minutes later you got the Discord notification. Sorry, your Sunday was horrible too, Demolition. Mine was pretty bad. Sundays have been really hard for me emotionally lately. Like, I just keep falling into that, like, Sarlacc pit of, like, it is a day that I'm not working. I should be able to have fun or do something. What would that look like? And then, like, 10 hours pass, and I'm just, like, eating, like, a 3-person serving of macaroni and sobbing to myself. Like, that's, like, most of my Sundays, more or less. There's some poetic license taken there, but, like, it's safe to assume it's close enough to that you might as well just picture that. That's, like, most of my Sundays now. I'm like, boy, life is garbage. So this has to be our leftmost group of 1. I can't fit anything further to the left. So that means those spaces are isolated. 2, 3, 4... So this would have to be... So, assuming the most flexible position possible, this group of 4 would have to reach to the top, and this would still have to be blank. So then I could neither fit a group of 2 here or a group of 2 here. So this space should be blank, so this should be a group of 2. That might be useful later. That's relatively advanced. Air quotes. Know that feeling, but with like cookies or ice cream. Yeah, so I was really excited about those cookies I got last week, and then 2 of them got ruined, and it kind of ruined all the optimism I had left for the whole week. But then my mom brought me like 8 of them today, which is too many of them, but on the bright side, it is at least a safeguard against 2 of those cookies being ruined again. I'll have a whole other box. I just can't ever put them in the same place again. If that is best mom, it's true. She does quite a lot to help and doesn't appreciate that she does a lot because she can't change the outcome of how bad the universe is. I understand it, it's just regrettable. These small numbers. I hate it. I hate the small numbers. Only big numbers. I want the last puzzle of this game to just be a colored-in square. I kind of want that, like, not ironically, just to be funny. like, I want the puzzle before that to be so hard it makes me upset, and then I want the one after that to be, like, a big filled-in square. That's what I want. Yeah, this sucks. I hate this. Alright, let's see how much 7 gives us. 5, 6, 7. And then like 1 space. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. Well, that 1 space is filled in. which means it's definitely one of our groups of 2, and also I can't fit another group up here. So it's the top group of 2, which is like maybe a little useful. I don't know. I guess the overload principle tells us that this has to be part of the left group of 3, and at minimum has to reach out here, and the same is true for this group of 4, except it goes all the way out here. Trying to think. These actually have to be separated from one another, because there's no group bigger than 3, and if this space was filled in, it would make one continuous group of 4. So these have to be separated, and because the top group is 2, and this group already has more than 1 in it, we know that this has to be the group of 3, and this is the group of 2 exactly. For the top row, that rules out the possibility of this being a filled-in group of 4 or that. So the group of 4 has to be somewhere in this relatively small zone. This also, at this point, is pretty clearly the top group of 4 for its column. My brain is struggling to figure out why it wouldn't have made this into a continuous group, because, like, this has to be part of the group of 7, and this is left of that group, so, like, all of that should be filled in. I don't know what happened. Now that this is closed off, this is where this group of 3 reaches to, which I'm pretty sure... Well, I couldn't fit a whole group of 4. So if I tried to make this the bottom of the top group of 4, it would then mean that this is just a group of 2, which can't be true. So this has to be where the group of 4 goes. And that ends there for the row, also group of 4. And now that we have a start point for this group of 9, we should know that it goes to exactly here. 7, 8, 9. I think that's true. I want to be skeptical of that, but I think I know the starting point from the group of 10. And then it doesn't matter that I don't know very much about some of these columns further to the right. This also is a definite starting point for the second group in this row, so that's where those 4 spaces get filled in. And if we look at this column here, there's only 2 groups that have more than 1 in them, and they're both exactly 2. So these should be blank, and that should be blank. And those should just be those top groups. Something similar here. The top 2 most groups are 2, and I already have those. And below it are some groups of 1. Up here, the topmost group needs to be 2. If I add anything to this, it's more than 2, and I can't fit another 2 up here, so it should be isolated on either side to make it a group of 2, and then this is part of a group of 3, but I don't know where that goes. We have lemon cookies. That's nice demolition. Huh. This is actually a little interesting. If you look at this column, based on the information we have, there's 3 groups total. A 2, a 1, and a 6. This here is the highest up one. It kind of necessarily has to be part of the group of 2. That being true, none of those spaces can be attached to that group of 2. This down here has to be part of the group of 1, so it's kind of separated by itself. And then the 6 goes down here. How many total is that? 7? So, like... 3... Yeah, my brain didn't want to process that correctly, but that's right. 5 of those 7 spaces are necessarily filled in, and I just don't know whether the top or the bottom is filled in. That should be correct. I'm like, in a way that I can't articulate, I am doing better at this puzzle. I don't actually know whether it's harder or not. Oh, the next group in this row is a 2, so this can't be part of that group. It can't be a 2. So then this is where that group of 3 goes for that column. And that fills in everything but a group of 4 for this row. But I have slightly too many spaces for that to fill in anything. Guess I could try to do something with this 172 I haven't really looked at. I'm gonna purple it, so I don't trust me to track this correctly. We could do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then various available space, or 1, 2, space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I think that's true. Don't know what group that is. I know this is part of a group of 4. Oh, I already should have had that filled in. This is the row where I know that this isn't filled in. Because the group of 4 can't reach that far over. So then this goes to the bottom, which, like, isn't helpful. Yeah, I might as well fill these in. That should just be true. Doesn't tell me much more than that about those groups of 4 yet. Now, this column has only groups of 1, so that is by itself. That is actually useful, because now I know that, like, these 3 out of these 5 spaces have to be filled in. And this one can't be filled in. Which is actually also useful, because now I know the group of 5 doesn't go down that way. It goes exactly up from that bottom space. So that whole column's done now. That's pretty good. And now these act as the rightmost groups for all of their individual rows. So that's a little helpful. So 1 here. This then is part of a group of 2. So these shouldn't be anything. So this has to be part of the top group of 3, because there's just no way to do a separate group above that. So, like, this space has to be filled in, because even at its lowest point, it would reach up to here. And the highest point possible is this, so, like, this also isn't anything. Which actually should have filled this in a while ago. Once again, we've narrowed down this top area, so, like, there's only 5 spaces available in a group of 4, so, like, we've narrowed that down pretty effectively, being the point. Before I move on to analyzing this, this here should also be the next group down. It should be a 1, which tells us exactly where that group of 4 ends and finishes that row. And now I've set start point here. I don't think I actually quite know enough to narrow this down. I might, but I'm just going to leave that for now. And then be embarrassed I didn't do that later. Let's take a look at these. These become the top group for each of their respective columns. They're all 1, so that doesn't tell us very much. Although we have actually pretty effectively narrowed down this column that has only 2 filled-in spaces. Wait a minute. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's just like, yeah. I already have the other group, so that just has to be the continuous 7. Okay. That row's done. Apparently the space is blank because I finished this column. That's acceptable. Ooh, we have a start point for this 10 now. So, like, this can't be filled in. This is 1, 2, plus 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, base 1. Alright, that's done now. That tell me anything interesting? Leftmost group for this row is 3, so it should go out at least this far, even if it's at its leftmost. I think I should get another point of overlap here for the 7 in this column, since we've blocked off enough of the top here. Because this would be 4, 5, 6, so it has to reach at least this far down, based on the current information we know. Although it actually looks like this column, or this row is also done, so 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at this column next to it. The next group we're looking for down the column should be a group of 2. I can't fit that here and separate it from this group of 2 I already have together, so that should be that group of 2, and then this can't be anything. No space that can be filled there. If we look up at this row for a second, we need to fill in 2 spaces for the row, and now there's only 3 spaces total. So this one, like these 2 can't be filled in because they're right next to each other, so that has to be filled in. But it also has to be a separated group, so this has to fill in the group of 4 for the top there, and then this becomes the group of 1 at the top of that column that I suspected was there, meaning that this is a group of 2 and this is a group of 3 that ends there. Looks like this row has no more stuff in it. Then means that this is exactly the group of 7. And then a group of 2 below it. Yeah, I suppose I could have figured that out sooner. Shut up about it. If we go ahead and look at this row, there's also something kind of obvious going on. I need a group of 4. I have some spaces filled in, and only a continuous group of 4 around it. So that's blank. Apparently we finished this column. That's nice. Oh, interesting. We're at a point with this bottom row that has like 3 groups of 2, where I have 1 space filled in, pardon me, from each of the groups of 2. So like, if it can't connect with one of the groups of 2, that space is blank. It's not extremely useful, but it is a true fun fact. Here. Alright, this should be filled in for various reasons. It is the 1 space needed to complete the group of 3 for the column and the 1 needed for the row. So that means we've got 3, 1, and then this should be a group of 2 that ends there. There's nothing bigger than a group of 2 in this row. There's only 1 space filled to the right of that, making the rightmost group of 1. I think that's all I get there for now. There's only 3 groups total in this row, and I have a space filled in for each of them. This one has an endpoint on one end, and it's the middle group, so to make that a finished group of 2, this should be filled in, and then that's blank. This also should be a group of 4, and there's only 4 available spots to be filled in. So that means this can't be anything, and one of the 2 remaining spots is filled in to finish that group of 3. Oh, this row is very similar to the bottom one, so anything... It's only groups of 2. Anything that doesn't connect to one of these existing spaces can't possibly be filled in. If you look at this row, this is clearly part of the rightmost group of 2. Everything to the left of that is an isolated group of 1. So these should both be blank spaces. Let's take a look at this column. I guess we're only missing groups of 1, which means that all of the available spots in this column are filled in. Which means that this is blank because only groups of 2. Something kind of similar here. This should be filled in because it's the last space for the row and to finish the group of 4 for the column. Then this is a finished group by itself. I don't know about that last one. Oh, if we look at this column, we have an endpoint for the bottom group, which is 4. And since this can't be filled in per the column, this should be filled in to make the group of 2 for the row, which also finishes that column. Because that was the last group I needed. Now this should be filled in, which means this is blank. Means this should be my group of 3 for the row, which apparently finishes that column. Also tells me that this space should be filled in, which finishes the column and runs out most of the row, except for one of these 2 spaces again. Weirdly, I don't have anything in that group of 3 on the left there. That'll be sorted soon enough, I imagine. Okay, looks like only 2 spaces left in this column, and they should apparently both be filled in. So that makes the second group of 1 in both of those rows. Huh. 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 I feel like I'm close enough that this should be on. Oh, hang on. This has to be filled in, right? That's the thing I need, probably. So that means that this can't be filled in because I need a group of 3 on the left, and it doesn't fit in that one space. So this is filled in. That makes that the group of 2 there. And then... So this has to be filled in, so that has to be the starting point for the group of 3, and... Yeah, okay. What am I looking? It's I think the fight between Ditto's parents really escalated on this boat. Perhaps it's a mutiny. That was a human heart. Look for Davy Jones. We have to find Detective Cross. There's been a moiter. Wait a second, Scout. It's not real. Look, there's a straw sticking out of it. It smells like... Oh god, human blood! No, just kidding. It's citrus. Yeah, to be honest, I did immediately suspect that it was likely to be a novelty drink, but I still think that's kind of in bad taste, so... I decided to try and take the game at face value. That's fine. Hey, it's some kind of cocktail. Why is there a cocktail inside a human heart? Well, you see, I filled the hat with milk, and time makes fools of us all. Why is that a novelty drink? That's, like, probably an equally good question that will probably have a less satisfying answer, anime. E-Iron must have picked them. Oh no, I hope it's not Sean. I hope he's okay. Look, I know there's been a lot of rain, but still. Maybe the heart's related to one of her movies. She has a reputation for being, I don't know, like, horrible? I'm not sure I want to meet her anymore. Hello. See, it's E-Iron. Hi, are you E-Iron? Yes. What did you think of it? Think of what? I wanted it to be real blood, but Ray said a cocktail would be better. The drink? Yeah, it was great. I definitely just drank some random liquid someone left on the ground in a heart container without really thinking much about it. So, like, I definitely tried it and think positively of it. Person who could influence my presumptive career. Yeah, definitely. It took me a second to get the whole, you know, looks like a heart thing. In some places, they drink blood fresh from the bowl. They cut open a vein and out it gushes, hot and slick. It tastes like the best steak you've ever had. Or perhaps it is that even the best steak simply tastes like blood. I'm pretty sure I don't want to meet her anymore, and I just did. Should we, like, follow her? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I don't want to eat food anymore. So, like, here's the problem. I could start another puzzle. It could take me, like, a full hour. I don't think I want to do that. I know it's short, but I did caution repeatedly it was going to be a short stream, so I think that's probably going to be it. On the bright side, we met E. Iron, and I refuse to pronounce that name any other way now. Yeah. Obviously, we don't know very much about this case so far. It's a different direction. I appreciate that. I'm not sure how much I care about it tying into the Frank Pritchell thing at this point. I know I should care about it. It's kind of central to how things got started and was left as a loose end. But, like, I don't know. At this point, I somehow feel like I've moved on. Which is kind of a dumb thing to say. I don't know. This has been fun. For some reason, my brain really turned on for that second puzzle, but I still don't have faith that the next puzzle won't just be like 90 squares that are all just one individual. And I feel like if I look at that, it will be like glimpsing Abraxas or whatever. Abraxas Rex, the evil dinosaur from beyond the barrow. So I'm just gonna do a safety save and then quit. Never thought I'd save on a boat. At least not in this game. Close the game. Yeah, sorry for the short stream, but like I mean, to be frank, I probably shouldn't have been streaming at all, and I apologize for the intensely emotional start to the stream. I'm glad people enjoyed watching. I know it's been kind of a quiet night anyway, so let me know if you have any guesses about the location of the secret Squirtle before we reveal his location and conclude the stream. I think I might know what I want to do for next week's stream, and to be honest, the thing I have in mind, I think can probably be completed in like an hour, so I probably need to work on that more. It's probably not its own whole stream. Let's see if I can yeah, it's just something really dumb I heard about a while back that for some reason Hobbs Barrow makes me want to play. It's a short adventure that, again, I think is like an hour or less, and is just like a dumb thing. So, I might try to get that running. It's not, I don't know how hard that's gonna be, so I don't want to name it in case I can't get it working. But yeah, I do want to finish Murder by Numbers. I don't know what time frame that's gonna look like. There's some vague sense of something I want to start playing in the summer. Things always get complicated in the fall. But we'll keep working on the schedule. There's something coming out later this year that I don't know if anyone would have heard of. It's called Rain Code, and it's by the same like publisher as the Nonary games, which doesn't say much because they do all sorts of stuff. But like it looks like a broadly speaking like Somnium Files style visual novel. It doesn't seem like it has the lewdness or some of the other hallmarks of that game. But I've seen a couple trailers for it, and the aesthetic looks really cool, and it's like a mystery, and there's like superpowers, and like it seems like a lot of stuff that's up my alley. I don't know how that game's gonna turn out. But like that's kind of on the to-do list too. But like basically like the newish stuff that's like on my radar like doesn't come out until like later this year, which is why I've been like struggling lately to figure out like what to do in the short term. Already scared of it. I mean, it's too early to be scared of it. I'm pretty sure it has some kind of weird talking companion, but it's not like a sexy eyeball. Stupid sexy eyeball. Yeah, let's go find that Squirtle, huh? Under Octopus, behind Lorenzo. Let's see. I mean, there's no reason that Mama would be in the game. Also, like, Mama can't get any worse than Deus Ex Mama. Deus Ex Mama is like the worst concept in narrative fiction. I can't tell you how much, like, I'm so profoundly offended by that moment in that game that, like, anything that causes me to think of it just makes me furious all over again. It's so bad. Oh, this is Carlos. I love him. He's my precious son. He's atop the lobster. Um, you see, there's nothing behind the lobster. Lorenzo, hi, hello. Um, Underneath him was like a whole collection of narwhals. They're mostly pretty upset, and I get it because it's like a big mood. Lorenzo's so good. Lorenzo's great. I mean, mostly everything I have is pretty great. Not gonna lie about that. So unfortunately, a miniature fleet of narwhals. I don't know what the collective noun for narwhals is, but not a Squirtle. Unfortunately. I think under the angry octopus. Well, you may see once again. But what if I told you that the Squirtle inside that octopus? What would you do if I told you that, Neko? Collective of narwhals is a blessing. That does sound right. Yeah, that's right, Neko. You found the secret Squirtle. Congratulations. I hope that you enjoy a week of good fortune. Not a collection of narwhals. Um, thanks again for those watching. We do. Oh god, that's right. Tomorrow is the time change. That's horrific. This weekend is so horrible. I can't. It's so bad. I just like I don't have like the words to express how upsetting that revelation is of like truly processing that after everything that today has been. And I'm just gonna say on top of that that something like not replaceable is like supposed to have arrived here today, and it just didn't. I don't know what I don't know what to do about that either. It's been a pretty bad day for me. But I hope that this stream, as short as it is, has done something to improve your day or your week or whenever the heck you're watching this. I do appreciate people showing up and being very kind and firing off lots of sound effects. It's a great use of channel points, a renewable currency that will keep the world going around. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being you. And I hope to see you again soon. Whether that's next weekend for another installment of Murder by Numbers, or the weird mystery thing that I hope I get working, or whatever thing will accompany that, if anything. Or something in the distant future like Raincoat or some other garbage. In the meantime, stay safe, and remember that you are clawsome.